Sweden versus Switzerland. Which country is better? Hello and welcome to my channel. My friend, have you ever thought that it's easy to mix up the names of two countries, Sweden and Switzerland? It's like the people who can't tell a Labrador from a golden retriever. At first glance, they both look pretty classy and similar, but when you look into it, they're actually two completely different things. Let me break it down. Sweden is the IKEA paradise of Northern Europe, sweeping the globe on a wave of minimalism, while Switzerland is more like an elegant banker. It's more of an elegant banker, specializing in saving money, selling watches, and doing a little chocolate art on the side. Both countries have one thing in common: their names sound quite rich in air. But they have taken two completely different routes in culture, lifestyle, and even cosmic realms. So the question is, which country is better? Well, it really depends on whether you prefer the Northern Lights or the Alps, meatballs or cheese fondue. Let's talk about it in more detail. When it comes to the natural beauty of Sweden and Switzerland, these two really have their own specialties, just like two top scenic spots in PK. First of all, let's talk about Sweden. This place is the spokesman for the Nordic scenery. After all, who does not want to wrap the down coat in winter to chase the northern lights? Scandinavian forests are super vast. Feel that you can always encounter elk or fox in the deep forests, of course. Encountering the aurora borealis may be more romantic. The title of the country of 1,000 lakes is not to be blown away. Summer boating, winter ice skating. The Swedes are really playing with nature out of the flower. Then there's Switzerland, which is really the kind of place where you don't need a filter to take pictures. The snowy tops of the Alps, clean lakes like fake lakes, and chalets everywhere are all like scenes from a fairy tale. Skiing is standard, hiking is super hot, and even extreme sports are popular. I've heard that their alpine paragliding experience is especially great, and the moment you jump out, the panoramic view of the Alps opens up in front of you as if it were a huge 3D painting. The question arises, whose scenery is more suitable for sending friends? Well, it depends on what kind of atmosphere you like. Sweden's northern lights and forests give people a quiet and mysterious feeling, especially suitable for that kind of literary style of 9 frames. The Swiss Alps and the blue sky and white clouds is pure atmosphere and high sense of feeling. Feel as long as a shot. The number of likes can easily break 100. As for what to do in winter, it really depends on what experience you want. If you want to chase the light, see the snow and ice scenery, Sweden is undoubtedly the first choice. But if you are a skiing enthusiast, or simply want to experience the kind of standing on the top of the mountain overlooking the world sense of shock, Switzerland is your answer. In short, the natural beauty of these two places, one is healing, the other is a blockbuster, which will not step on the mine. When it comes to economy and cost of living, Sweden and Switzerland are like two different life choices. Switzerland, at first glance, is the kind of elite white-collar persona. Here is a global financial center. Banks are super. Any one of them may be in the custody of the billionaire's secret money. And the Swiss really do earn a lot of money, with annual salaries in the 6 figures. But the cost of living is also hardcore. A cup of coffee can cost 5 or 6 euros, and an average dinner can make your wallet cry. Simply put, the more you earn, the more you spend, and whether or not you can save money at the end of the day depends on your ability to manage your financial freedom. Looking at Sweden, it's more like an old and generous friend that takes care of people. Medical care, education is completely free. Children go to college basically do not have to worry about tuition. Sick even if not working will not be hospital bills scared. However, the price is that taxes are particularly high, and before the salary arrives, a large chunk of it is paid to the government first. But the Swedes are happy with this because they think, all the taxes we pay are used back on us. So the question is, which model would you prefer? Switzerland is for the kind of I rely on their own world people. High income means more choice, but you have to bear the corresponding high consumption and high pressure. Sweden, on the other hand, is the government-pocketed model. Although the salary is not as impressive, the benefits are like an invisible net that will keep you flying. Another interesting point is happiness. Switzerland's happiness index has always been very high, probably because of the beautiful scenery, income to give the reason, but their life is also very stressful. The pace of work is very intense. Sweden, on the other hand, earns less, but the pace of life is slower, people enjoy family time more, and happiness is not bad. So these two countries represent different attitudes to life. One is work hard and enjoy the rewards, and the other is let life work for you. Which one would you choose? In addition, Sweden and Switzerland are like two completely different schools of art in terms of culture and language. Switzerland is a colorful collage with a lot of elements, while Sweden is a black and white minimalist line drawing that gets more and more interesting the more you look at it. Let's talk about Switzerland first. This tiny country actually has 4 official languages: German, French, Italian, and a Romansh language you may not have heard of. Only about 60,000 people speak it. So traveling in Switzerland is a language-switching challenge. Buying bread in Zurich in the morning, you hear German. Having coffee in Lausanne at noon, you hear French. Shopping in Lugano in the afternoon, you suddenly hear Italian. One wonders if this is a real-life language learning app. And Sweden? The language may not be so complicated. After all, it's mainly Swedish, plus almost everyone in the Nordic countries is fluent in English. However, Sweden's language appeal is more about cultural attitudes. They believe in the lagom philosophy of life, a philosophy of just right, where nothing is too much and nothing is too little, just right. This philosophy also permeates their design style, which is minimalist, practical and aesthetically pleasing, from IKEA furniture to their fashion brands, all of which reflect this Scandinavian style. So the question arises, which cultural experience do you prefer? Switzerland's linguistic adventure is more for those who like challenges and change, where every day is like traveling through a different country. Sweden, on the other hand, has a particularly healing minimalist aesthetic for those who want to clear their minds and find inner peace. Then again, neither country disappoints in terms of cultural richness or everyday beauty. If you're the kind of person who likes to communicate with the world through language, Switzerland will probably be fun, but if you're more inclined to slow down and enjoy every just right moment, Sweden is definitely not to be missed. When it comes to food, Switzerland and Sweden are really 2 completely different styles. One is a world of cheese so rich that it melts, and the other is a Scandinavian table so fresh that you can smell the forest. Both styles have their own merits. It depends on which side your stomach prefers. Let's start with Switzerland. It's definitely a cheese lover's paradise. Fondue is their national food, a steaming pot of melted cheese that you can dip bread, potatoes, or vegetables into. There is always a sense of ritual in eating, as if the meal is not just about filling your stomach, but about socializing and sharing. And Swiss chocolate, needless to say, is famous all over the world. Who wouldn't want to have a small piece of it every day? As for Swiss wines, they may be a little cold, but they are really worth trying, especially the local varieties from Valais, which are very distinctive. And then look at Sweden, where they are represented by meatballs, yes, the IKEA restaurant kind, served with mashed potatoes and chutney, which is particularly grounding. And when it comes to pickled herring, well, that's a heavy Nordic challenge, and many tourists try it once and never forget it, either fall in love with it or go around it. But there's also a particularly healing highlight of Swedish food culture, fika. Simply put, it's a way to stop your busy life, have a cup of coffee with a small dessert, and chat with a friend. It's a tradition so warm that you can't help but add a little ritual to your afternoon. So the question is, which side are you on? Swiss cheeses and chocolates are obviously more luxurious and intense, the kind of high-calorie happiness. Swedish meatballs and fika are more like home, warm and cozy. If it were tea time, I'd have a hard time choosing between chocolate and a fika. When it comes to climate, these 2 countries offer 2 very different experience packages. One is a cold adventure, and the other is a picture postcard of the seasons. Which one you prefer may determine your choice. Let's start with Sweden. Winter in Sweden can be described as long, especially in the north, and the polar nights can be a bit confusing for newcomers. When does the sun come out? The answer is, there's no rush. We'll see you in a couple of weeks. However, this long darkness also creates a special way of life, a cozy culture indoors with candles, a cup of hot chocolate and Netflix wrapped up in a blanket. Not a bad little feeling of happiness, really. And summer? It's short, but it's especially beautiful. During the polar days, the sun barely sets and it feels like one day can be used as 2. Swedes will seize every second of summer to go camping, boating, or simply laze in the grass and enjoy the rare warmth. Then look at Switzerland, where the climate is much more stable. Despite the added bonus of a mountainous climate, there are still generally 4 distinct seasons, and the temperatures are not too extreme. Skiing is routine in the winter, hiking is heavenly in the summer, and the wine season in the fall is something else. Best of all, people here are super outdoorsy, and whether it's paragliding, cycling or alpine yoga, you'll find a whole host of enthusiastic pals. It's safe to say that Switzerland's climate is perfect for those who like to get moving. So the question is, which country's climate do you prefer? If you're an adventurer and want to have fun in extreme weather, Sweden's snowy days and extreme days and nights are sure to appeal. But if you prefer a more relaxed pace and want to have your own rituals for each season, then Switzerland is probably a better choice. When it comes to political and social systems, Switzerland and Sweden are like two completely different social laboratories, one being the master of neutrality, and the other the pioneer of equality. Which one is more appealing to you? Let's start with Switzerland. Switzerland has an amazing political system that is synonymous with direct democracy. Imagine a country where everything is decided by referendum, whether to raise taxes or build a new railroad, for example. The Swiss vote so often that it feels like they are all part-time politicians. In addition, their policy of neutrality is internationally known. No matter how the world quarrels, Switzerland has always stood on the sidelines quietly counting their own gold bars, and has become the preferred neutral ground for a variety of international organizations. Sweden is a paradise of egalitarianism. From gender equality to universal welfare, this country has always been at the forefront of the world. They are really good at taking care of people. They have long parental leave for children, and they don't have to worry about medical and education expenses even if they are unemployed, so it's like a socialist ideal country. Moreover, Sweden's efforts in environmental protection are also admirable, not only in the domestic implementation of sustainable development, but also actively export experience to influence the world. So the question is, which social system do you prefer? Switzerland's direct democracy is for those who want to feel more in control and feel that their vote can really change the direction of the country. Sweden, on the other hand, is more suitable for those who want to enjoy themselves, because the government has already taken care of a lot of things. As for the attractiveness of Sweden to international immigrants, it depends on your lifestyle preferences. If you like participation and economic freedom, Switzerland might appeal to you, but if you value social security and a general atmosphere of equality, Sweden is definitely more appealing. Okay, now comes the fun part. If you had to choose one country, would you stand for Switzerland or Sweden? Let's take a look at the unique personalities of these two countries. Switzerland, the country's label is definitely stable, safe, and cosmopolitan. Imagine a quiet country at the foot of the Alps, where people live a well-organized life, surrounded by the world's top banks and clock manufacturers. It feels like life's safe deposit box, where everything is secure. You can also eat cheese fondue while chatting with others in multiple languages. The international flavor is directly pulled full. Sweden, on the other hand, is a completely different style, full of freedom and equality atmosphere. Scandinavia's sunshine may be scarce, but their creativity is not. From IKEA to Spotify, the Swedes' innovative lifestyle and respect for the environment is nothing short of amazing. Add to that the Lagom philosophy, where happiness is found in moderation, and you're left with a sense of ease. The question arises, what kind of ideal country would be born if the two countries were to marry? Probably a place with the stability and internationalization of Switzerland and the creativity and freedom of Sweden. For example, the political system may be a balance between the Swiss referendum and Sweden's equality policy, and economically there are both Switzerland's high income and Sweden's universal welfare. Think about it as very beautiful. In reality, however, Switzerland and Sweden each have their own unique charms. If you like stability and efficiency, you may love Switzerland more, but if you pursue equality and creativity, Sweden is definitely your cup of tea. In the end, it's not a question of who's better, but what kind of life do you want? So which would you choose? Cheese fondue in Switzerland or meatballs in Sweden? The snowy Alps or the romance of the Northern Lights? In fact, no matter where you go, you can find your own happiness. Well, that's it for this installment. Likes and comments are welcome. Thanks for tuning in.